Hello viewers, welcome to back my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's go start today my video. The wind whipped through the ancient turrets of Windsor, as if whispering secrets long kept between its stone walls. Spring sunlight scattered across the cobbled courtyard, not strong enough to chase away the tension that lingered in the air like a fog. Inside, the palace staff moved with unusual urgency. Footsteps echoed in corridors usually hushed, and murmured conversations filled rooms that typically held ceremonial calm. The news had come suddenly, almost like a whisper turned command. Prince Harry was returning. It had been nearly a year since he last walked through the palace gates, and even longer since he did so with a clear purpose. The estranged Duke of Sussex, once the people's prince and then the world's wanderer, was now returning under a shroud of uncertainty. But it wasn't just his return that set the palace on edge. The king was departing. King Charles IV, already weighed down by the burdens of monarchy and a recent bout of illness, had scheduled an unannounced retreat, something the palace referred to delicately as a period of reflection and recovery. But to those closest to him, it felt like more than just rest. There was a gravity to his absence, a silence that carried meaning. The announcement was scheduled for midday. Harry's flight landed at dawn. No one knew for sure if father and son would meet. The palace issued a brief statement. His Majesty the King is aware of the Duke of Sussex's arrival and remains focused on personal and national commitments during this time. A sentence crafted with surgical precision, warm enough to quell rumors, cool enough to keep the mystery intact. But behind the heavy oak doors of the king's private study, things were far less formal. King Charles sat at his desk, a single letter in his hand. It had arrived before Harry did, penned in the Duke's unmistakable hand, somewhere between military efficiency and poetic vulnerability. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't a plea. It was simply a son's letter to his father, written without the weight of titles, free of expectation. "Let's meet as men," it said, not as monarch and subject, not as institution and rebel, just as father and son. The king folded the letter slowly and looked out the window. He saw the car, a familiar dark Range Rover, turn the corner toward the palace. Inside it sat a man the king had not embraced in too long, yet never stopped thinking about. Harry stepped out, a little older, a little warier, but still with the same quick eyes and tense shoulders that once chased lions in Botswana and ran down rugby fields with a grin. He looked up at the palace and for a second hesitated. This was the house of memory, of birthright and heartbreak. It was a place filled with echoes, some tender, some sharp. A butler approached quietly. "Your room is ready, sir. His Majesty is still in residence, for now." Harry nodded. Elsewhere in the palace, aides speculated. Did the king delay his departure to see his son? Was this a coincidence, or the first tentative step toward reconciliation? The media would speculate for days, but within those stone walls, the truth was more intimate. They met in the king's garden, away from cameras, without an audience. There were no grand speeches, no dramatic hugs, just a quiet walk among the daffodils. They talked about nothing and everything, about the past, about the silence that had grown like ivy between them. They laughed once hesitantly, as if testing the strength of old bridges. And then, hours later, the king departed as planned, his convoy sweeping through the gates with royal grace. No dramatic pause, no wave to the press, just the quiet beginning of something new. The palace issued another statement before sundown. His Majesty the King and the Duke of Sussex shared a private moment before His Majesty's departure. The king remains committed to family, nation, and health in equal measure. No more, no less. But those who watched closely noticed a subtle difference. Harry remained in the palace that night. The flag did not lower, and somewhere in the garden 2 sets of footprints remained, one lighter, one heavier, pressed into the earth like a quiet promise. Let me know if you'd like this reworked into a news article or told from another perspective, like a palace aide, a press member, or even Harry himself. Thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the bell icon.